Hi, this is the Maverick artist Victor Hugo reporting modern art gonzo journalism for the modern art music movement. It is Friday, July 3rd, 2026, reporting from the former Soviet Union Republic of Georgia near the border with Russia, Turkey, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. A camera ride away from Kazakhstan, the Ukraine, Israel, Syria, Iran, Lebanon, Palestine, Yemen, and the Gaza Strip. My job is not to be politically correct. It is to witness, observe, analyze, and document the beautiful chaos that surrounds us all so that future generations can understand how we got to this moment in time where I am blessed to be for the first time with Alex, the conspiracy music guru. And if you notice, we're a little bit late starting. We were just talking about censorship and how he and I have been censored. And when we were ready to go live, of course, everything needed to be restarted on his end, on my end, because, of course, welcome to the CIA, the COINTELPRO. Welcome to the members of APAC, Mossad, and MI6 that love this show more than anybody else. To all the haters and the trolls out there, please remember to hit the thumbs down button. And to those who like this channel and want to keep it on and to share it with other people, feel free to hit the like button and to share this show. So, Alex, conspiracy music guru. The title of the show is The Bastardization of Music and How It Impacts You, Your Life, and Your Family. Everybody listening to this show, your friends, your neighbors, and even your pets and the water. So please, if you can, introduce yourself to the audience. I must say, I'm hearing a bit of an accent. Are you from New York, New Jersey, or am I getting that wrong there?
Very, very slight. Yeah, I'm from Connecticut. No, I'm originally from I'm originally from the UK, and I went to Spain on holiday about 14 years ago. Fell in love with Spain, the landscape, just the sunshine. Very much starved of that in the UK, and I decided to move to Spain. So I've been in Spain now for 10 years, but I still have this working class Essex accent. But yeah, thanks for having me on, man. Just when I read your bio, I thought, oh, I'm going to like this guy. I know I'm going to like this guy. And as soon as we came on, we hit it off, and we started getting a little bit carried away. We thought, oh, we better press live because already the conversation is we've got so much in common, it seems. So I'm very much looking forward to the conversation. Yeah, but I'm conspiracy music guru online. It's a bit of a mouthful, I know, but if you can remember three words, conspiracy music guru, and you type that into YouTube. I don't know why you'd be on YouTube. I don't know why I'm still on YouTube, but that's the best place to find all my videos and all the visual stuffs I've done, all the music videos and just exposing many agendas. Trying to build up the Rumble channel now as well because the YouTube is just, I'm so censored and shadow banned there. I'm lucky if I reach 2% of my audience. So it's a struggle out there, man, when you're putting these kind of ideas into music and you can see it moving minds and, I'm germinating those seeds and waking people up with a catchy chorus. And it's been very effective and profound. So hence the censorship.
You can find the link to his channel in the description section of this video. Underneath the title, you'll find the description and you can locate him. So my parents, my grandparents are from Spain. They moved to Ecuador, and I'm first generation United slave of America. Tomorrow, we're celebrating the 250th anniversary of our once great nation, which now, like most of the European Union and England, and now even South Central America, Africa, you name it, even China, the parasites, which is probably why I'm getting banned and censored. I was telling you before the show, I was on John B. Wells' Caravan to Midnight, which is a coast to coast radio show. And the moment they posted it on YouTube, well, they took it off. So yes, you will find me only on Rumble.
Freedom!
Yes.
Freedom!
Yes, 250 years of freedom all gone to crap because of the United States' greatest ally, Israel, who is now merging with the United States military and their intelligence agencies, which has been going on for years, but now they're so brazen. They're just coming out and saying, listen, we control your military, we control your CIA, FBI, your justice system. And the United Kingdom is the same. I'd like to get your comment on a video that's really having an impact right now. I don't know if you're familiar with this. But there was a white guy who was getting beat up by black, I guess, illegal immigrants in in
Was this the attempted
Birmingham.
beheading?
Oh no, that's in Ireland.
That was
Yeah,
Ireland, wasn't it? Yeah.
the Irish are also having their time with this Kalergi plan. I'm gonna
Yeah, the Irish have actually got more balls. They're actually rising up. They seem to have a little bit of bite. They seem to be, I don't know, a lot more courageous than the English. The English are very, very subservient and very compliant, which is, one of the reasons I moved out of there.
Yeah, God save the Queen, and she lived a lot longer than what they actually claimed because even when they were reporting it, she was dead for a couple of months. Somehow they kept her in frozen state or something like that, and then they held her funeral. Very creepy stuff going on in England. You were smart to move out. So let
Yeah.
me share screen here with you, and we'll check in on Paul Joseph Watson, who is also a Brit, but
I'm aware of his work. Yeah.
he's kind of afraid to mention the Jew, which okay, a lot of people are
Red
afraid.
flag.
Can you see the screen there?
I can, yeah.
Okay, great. So check this out. This is really disturbing stuff here. It's amazing. First of all, just like in the USA, they have these diversity, equity, and inclusivity hires. And with the feminism that came in, again, a Jewish psyop to make women feel like men need to be pussified. And now women are complaining. The biggest complaint that women have from other women that they've told me is that they can't find a man with balls anymore. So check this out. It's self-explanatory, but check this out. It's really disturbing.
I have no volume on my end, but
Oh, you have no volume? Can I get a 5 by 5 from the audience? Can you guys hear what's going on here? Maybe I'll have to stop sharing and redo the share so that we
share
can
with
get
sound.
share with sound. That would help. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Share with sound. And now we'll try this again. So as you can see, there's a lot of police, bobbies, I guess is what they call them, right? And they're
Yeah.
watching this and they're not doing anything to protect the white guy who's there by himself being mobbed.
The aggressors. Right, so he's being clotheslined to the floor, punched in the face. Guess who the female cop decides to tackle? Oh, you just knew it was coming, didn't you? The people who attacked him get away. Then this happens. Oi, 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 oi. I mean, fair enough, that was pretty dumb. Some people in the comments claimed he was just reacting and didn't even know it was a copper. I don't know about that. But if she hadn't charged into the wrong guy, the victim who was being attacked, it would have never happened in the first place.
Do not! Keep punching the guy!
I'm trying to move that way.
Put your hands behind your back!
I'm trying to move that way, bro. What?
You just fucking punched me in
No.
the face!
Don't think he did, mate. Another female copper then runs up to help her colleague arrest him.
My nan's actually, I'm trying to move that way, bro. What the fuck? Gee.
Letting the actual perpetrators flee the scene. You see him just walking off. Yeah, top-notch police work there, guys. This other guy then tries to tell the officer the white guy was the one being attacked by the mob.
What the fuck, bro?
Just get off!
Gee, I'm a nan's ashes. I'm trying to move that way, bro. They're trying to smack me up, bro. What the fuck you want, huh?
Excuse me. They've had free
What
man
the
on him,
fuck?
so
Gee, I'm a little brother's life, bro.
Doesn't matter, they've already disappeared into the night.
I'm trying to go home, bro. What the fuck? I'm trying to go home, bro.
What, put your arms straight!
Please, I'm trying to go home, bro. What the fuck? Gee, please, I'm
Well, the
trying to
time
go
is
home.
1:30. You're going to stop, please.
Again, would have never have happened if you didn't arrest the wrong person.
I'm taking my own defense.
Please, I'm trying to go home.
So here we have a situation where these two women, and the same thing happens in the United States. I've played videos of black guys just completely overtaking six fat women who are police officers, and they just get away. So what happens is you see this woman with the glasses. The black guys would have smacked those glasses off. This guy was trying to be nice and put her hat back on, and she gets on uppity with this guy, and they're arresting the victim. Why? Because, well, like this guy who quickly backed off, the men are just pussified. These women wouldn't have stood a chance against those black guys. So they just arrest the white guy, like that other white guy who was stabbed 6 times, and they arrested him for being racist and let him bleed to death. Now, I understand you're in Spain, and the same thing is happening in Spain. Women are being raped silly over there by the illegal immigrants as part of the Kalergi plan. But the people in Spain are like the people in Ireland starting to rise up. So, what's your take on your country? And you said earlier that that's one of the reasons why you left was because apparently it's gone to hell.
Yeah, I
What's
mean, you can just see the agendas behind it, can't you? I mean, this is obviously part of their training. There's clearly an agenda to just like bring these immigrants in, and they're being housed in these five-star hotels. So there's some sort of agenda behind it. I don't know. It's just order out of chaos, and I'm just seeing it. And that's why I said before we came on, stay out of the cities, stay out of the cities. The same's happening in Barcelona and the Spanish cities as well. So thankfully, where I am is a very touristy kind of place. It's kind of off the beaten track a little bit. And if I start seeing any of this sort of shenanigans coming to where I am, any sort of these technology, flock cameras, 5G, all of that sort of stuff, this tyrannical stuff, if I start seeing that coming to my neighborhood, then I'm off. I'm going to go more rural, more inland, and I think that's where I'm going to search for community and more self-sufficiency, because this is the state of the world, and it's getting worse. There's clearly this totalitarian tiptoe, and drop by drop, step by step, we're seeing much, much, much more of this. So, I don't have much hope, unfortunately. I mean, I do see an awakening happening, and people are standing up. And if there's ever going to be another pandemic or plandemic or whatever, I think people are just not going to fall for it anymore. But we just need to start getting a little bit angry. I think it's pitchfork time, isn't it, surely?
Have you seen that movie Citizen Vigilante that was put out by Yui Boll starring Army Hammer?
No, do you know what? I see a psyop there with that, because that movie is all over the place, and I've decided not to watch it because I know the agenda. I know it's supposed to be this truther movie, but isn't it really inciting everybody to rise up? Which I'm for, really. So I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really comment on it. But the fact that it's everywhere, it screams a bit of psyop to me, because otherwise it wouldn't be allowed all over Twitter, like Elon Musk posting it and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I interviewed Yui Boll and I asked him about the film, and I must say I am recommending it for the reason that you said. The people need to start rising up. It seems like, especially these what I call satanic Christians, are expecting Kung Fu Jesus to come back and to fix everything. And that's the wrong idea, really. These people need to take care of themselves. They're not going
Well,
to
that's
have.
the problem, is it? It's the savior mentality. Everybody's waiting for someone to come out of the sky and save them, or some politician and that. And it's just people don't realize they have the power in it's that diffuse switch, isn't it? Don't worry, trust the plan, or if you're religious, don't worry, he's coming back and he's going to save you, when the real power lies in all of us.
Yeah, and if you check it out, it's even in the football arena. We've got the World Cup going on here. Check out this. And a lot of this has to do with the white people. The white people are cannibalizing themselves. This is unbelievable. Check out this is an AI. This is an actual event that happened on the soccer field, or football as they call it in the rest of the world. This guy gets attacked and he gets the yellow card, which is a penalty in the game of football, soccer. Check this out. This guy gets pushed by the blackie. He doesn't even touch him. He's just like, "What are you doing, man? Why are you pushing me?" And the referee comes in, and just like the female police officers say,
Wow.
Listen, white man, you need to settle down. You need to just bend over and take it." It's just incredible. And then more of the white people just adding to their own depopulation. They want to get rid of white Christian males. So say how this people react here, especially the police officer. Then they bring in this huge tough guy, and he starts look at this guy.
Don't think he did, mate. Then after putting him in the back seat the wrong way, they struggled to get him out again.
Get out. Get out.
Yo!
Yes, I will give you everything.
And even though he seems a lot calmer now, they somehow still need about 8 cops to deal with the situation.
I will give you everything. I will give you everything, I promise you. I'm a little bit as well, I'll give you everything.
Yeah, his actual attackers are probably on the bus home right now.
Listen. If you do anything, you get dropped.
He already got dropped for doing nothing. She dropped him before he was even able to stand up after getting whacked in the face.
Someone clotheslined him, and then someone hit him in the back of the head, and that's when police came right to him. So as he stood up, police were in front of him, and he's fucking whacked him.
Again, look at all the female police officers there, and then they bring in this huge goon, and he starts roughing the victim up. It's just incredible.
What's the cop? No, I promise you, I ain't doing nothing. I ain't trying to be no sort of nothing to
Listen.
no one. To no one, I promise you, I ain't trying to be no sort of no one. That's fine. But can you explain where my hand is a big? Oh shit, what the fuck?
More totally unnecessary aggression. Well, at least they put him in the right way this time round. Well done for that. And that's the poor kid, probably being
Yeah, so this is just an abomination, and I don't understand how the people of England are allowing this to happen. The guy is totally the victim here, but because he's white, and then you've got over 250,000, they're saying it's nearly 500,000 young girls. Doesn't matter if they're young or if they're older, but they're getting raped. And I see your suspicion with Elon Musk. I'm very suspicious of him as well. And I agree with you. What they're trying to do is they're trying to incite a revolution.
I think they want that. They want that because what's their motto? Order out of chaos, right? They want this uprising. They want to. This is why this movie is everywhere. They want people to start being violent. They want, I don't know. It just seems very, very curious to me. Just think of that phrase, "order out of chaos." It's almost like they're poking the bear for sure.
Yeah. So how does this fit in with the music? Because the music is also influencing. For example, they started that gangsta rap because the Jews took over the prisons in the United States. I don't know how it is in England, but they've privatized the prisons, and in order to make money, they have to have prisoners in there. So they created music industry, and they got black people to start rapping about killing, mugging, raping, and that became the trend. And people listen to that, and then they think it's okay to kill, rape.
Well, that just goes to prove how influential music can be. And the same thing happened with country music. If you listen to country music and how that started, all of the themes of country music were about killing and hurting and cheating and stealing and just like all these sad country songs. And it was just like basically, ripping apart the family unit. So it's a similar thing to what happened with the country music, but it's just dressed up in modern day hip hop where all these gangbangers are talking about hoes and bitches and guns and up in the club and drinking and all that sort of stuff. And so it just goes to show how influential music can be. I'm trying to do the polar opposite of that. So obviously music can be very, very powerful. And when someone like me comes along and starts singing positivity and exposing agendas, well, of course, that won't do because music is very, very influential. Done with the right intent, with the right frequency, and unbastardized with the right lyrical content, it can be very, very powerful. And I've just got a feeling that that's why people like me will never succeed on the internet, because they don't want me there, because this stuff is clearly very influential and powerful.
So why did you decide to go the route of not being famous and popular and super rich by singing about these things? And I'd like for you to share some of the music that you have so that the audience can see what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not great at sharing, but I did.
Well, you have a guitar back there. If you'd like to do acoustic versions of your music, feel free.
Yeah, I mean, I have tried to do live music online before, but unfortunately, these platforms are more tailored for speech. And every time I pick up the acoustic guitar and play and sing on a string, which I've done many times before, and I play it back, and it's just like sounds terrible. You can't hear the guitar. My voice is overpowering. The guitar's distorted my voice, or whatever. So we can try it if you want, but.
No, I agree with you. I have noticed the same thing about these. Whenever I try to play music, it just doesn't work. These platforms are not really for
I've tried
music
everything.
live.
And I'm quite a sound engineer. I'm very quite a perfectionist when it comes to sound, and I have tried every way. I've tried. I've even bought a new mixer to try and solve the issues, but it's basically the YouTube compression will not allow you to hear the music as you hear it here, which is a real shame. I can't deliver a real quality sound through these streaming platforms, which is a real shame. I'm trying to, if YouTube ever pull their finger out, or maybe there are other streaming platforms which actually can broadcast in uncompressed quality, then hopefully if I can find that, then maybe I can start doing some more live stuff. But
You think they do that on purpose?
well, definitely the compression of music. I think that's done on purpose. I do think there's an agenda there. I've talked about that in a recent presentation that I did, because if you take an uncompressed, if you take some music that I make in my studio and it's uncompressed and sounds fantastic and it has all the warmth and the clarity and the overtones and the undertones and nothing removed from it whatsoever, as soon as you upload it to Spotify or YouTube or iTunes and you distribute it that way, the music will be automatically compressed to an MP3, and that removes about 85% of the audio information. And so you lost all the clarity, you've lost the warmth, you've lost some overtones and some undertones, and you've just basically removed 85% of my work. So, and that's sold to us in the name of convenience, right? Because now we can get 300,000 songs on an iPad or whatever. So how very convenient. Or Spotify, but I don't even think you're listening to music at that point. It's all utterly nonsense in terms of chord structure, melody, the same four chords. It's in 440 hertz. It's compressed. So if you're listening, you'll remember that when you're paying your Spotify subscriptions, you're really not listening to real music. But to answer your question about how did I avoid being famous and all that sort of thing, I wanted that. I even went for an audition on X Factor. I went for an audition on Britain's Got Talent. Thankfully, I didn't get through. Thank God, because God knows what the industry would have done with me at that point, and God knows what I'd be doing now. But I didn't succeed with that very well at all. You have to be I don't know. You have to be very. You don't have to. As long as you've got no morals or no scruples, you'll be good. But thankfully, I do. So I came out of that, and still doing the pub gigs and all of that sort of stuff. And then in 2012, I started looking into alternative narratives. 9/11 being the catalyst that got me into that. And once you start getting that information that the world doesn't work the way you think it works, what am I to do with that information? I can't start singing any more love songs, or I have to channel that information. It just blew my mind that we were completely lied to about that event. So I just started drinking in all the information about, the real world. And as a musician, I had to channel it. So I've just made album after album after album, about vaccines and fluoride and chemtrails and NASA and moon landing and satellites and ISS, and like pretty much covered every conspiracy. I've made enough conspiracy songs at this point to wake a dead horse. So I've just it's my therapy. That's all I could do. So, and it's the worst business decision I've ever made. I can't make money from this because of the censorship, but at least I can sleep at night, and I see the people that I did reach back in the good old days when YouTube wasn't censoring so much. And this stuff can change people's lives. So how can you make another tepid love song when you know this stuff and you know the lives and you want to inform people? What's the best way to inform people? Sit them down and talk to them? Not really. I've tried that. It doesn't end up very well. But to put it in a catchy song, a 5-minute truth grenade, put it on the internet, and you see those comments coming in like, I'm looking into this subject because of your song, because of a line in your song, because of this chorus. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, 9/11 was really a turning point in the history of mankind. What is incredible is that to this day, some people still believe that two airplanes were able to take down not just three buildings, but it turns out there were more than three buildings that
Six,
came.
apparently.
I've heard it's nine.
Wow.
Either way, 6, 9, or 3, none of it makes sense when you realize that airplanes get grounded when they fly into a flock of birds, because aluminum or whatever it is that airplanes are made out of cannot go through solid steel web structure that was created to be able to withstand the impact of a jumbo jet. And not only that, but the inside, and I grew up in Manhattan, and I grew up as a child playing inside the World Trade Center. I used to, after school with my friends, we would get to the World Trade Center. We would climb to the highest level that you could with the elevators without having to pay to go to the very top. And then we would sneak past the security guards, which was not difficult. And we would run up the stairs while the security guards chased us for a little bit. They couldn't catch us because we were kids. And we would sneak up to the very top for free. And yeah, the center of that was solid concrete. So even if the plane made it through somehow miraculously through that web structure, they constructed it with solid steel that were webs. So the plane could not possibly have gotten through there. It definitely would have smashed into the concrete. And then when you see these recent airplane crashes, like that one that happened in India, where one guy miraculously somehow walked away from this while everybody else supposedly died, the airplane didn't crush the building, and it was actually still the tail was on top of the building. So, yeah, they expect us to believe the impossible. Now, here's my question to you. What's wrong with 90% of the people that believe all this propaganda, this nonsense? Is it just brainwashing that they've
Yeah.
gotten us through the schools? Because, like you said, people like you, me, and the people watching this channel, they get it. But everybody who watches this and like you, we have the same thing. We try to talk to our family, we try to talk to our friends. They end up writing us off as crazy conspiracy
Mm.
theorists when actually everything that we've been telling them has turned out to be true, and they still refuse to acknowledge
Mm.
that they're being depopulated.
Well, there's so many things there. I always use this quote in because this conversation always comes up. Why can't people see? And Da Vinci said there are three classes of people: those that see when they are shown. That would be people like me and you, I guess, and those who do not see. And that class of people is a fascinating phenomenon because no matter if you shower them with logic and facts and reason, you show them all the information, they just can't get it. They just can't get it. What is that? Is it propaganda? Is it somebody who's maybe a little bit older in their years who've been subject to so much propaganda they just can't see it? They're so programmed. Or is it even on the table for me? Is like maybe it's a blood type. Maybe it's that NPC class, the non-player character class that just can't see it for whatever reason. Is that a blood type? So I don't know. Maybe even simulation theory is on the table for me. I never thought I'd say that, but maybe there is this class of people that are just the Agent Smiths of the Matrix that just will do anything to defend the status quo. And as soon as you show them, hey, it's impossible. Jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. It's clearly CGI. What's this? And you're trying to do all your best. You're doing your best to wake up, but it just reflects. It just bounces off them like they're wearing some kind of vest. They can't see it. So that's the strangest thing. And of course, when you come to these sort of ideas, you want to tell everybody. If I just tell the truth, everyone will love me, right? Didn't really work out too well, that one for me. Bringing up 9/11 around the Christmas table, that you can imagine how that went. Lost a lot of family and friends. So you learn to gauge your audience well, and you just you try a little seed here and there, and if it doesn't germinate, then you're going to have to start talking about the weather or whatever. But I don't really do my activism that way. I don't try and wake people up in the street anymore. I tried that, so I hide behind the music now, and I think the music can deliver something that maybe somebody barking in your face cannot. So I just use the music because I see it to be, even if you're not on board with what I'm saying in the music, at least the visuals can sow them seeds into the subconscious, and maybe one day further on in their journey they'll go, I remember somebody else saying about that. Oh yeah, and they might start to get it after a while. So I get many comments saying I don't agree with what you're saying in your music, but it's really catchy and I really enjoy it. So it's like even if you're awake or even if you're not, you're still enjoying the music. That's why I think music can be so powerful. So that's my activism, if you like.
It's interesting that you say that the truth is activism. I never thought of it that way, and it's kind of sad because if the truth is activism, and you and I are really like, I don't consider myself an activist. I just consider myself an artist. And it's interesting also that you mentioned music because there was music before there were languages, because people would hum and people would whistle and people would, back in the caveman times, they would be like, oomba, 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 oomba. Like, so it seems like music is something ingrained in us. And if you think about our heartbeat and how that regulates us, yeah, music is really something that can propel the truth. But in this day and age of usury and fiat currency and debt slavery being the ruler over the minds and hearts of people, it's hard for the truth to get out through music. In my case, I use art. I'm a modern art gonzo journalist. I paint a diary of my world on canvas. I also am a filmmaker and a musician, and I'm basically ostracized by the artistic community because if I'm not painting flowers, puppies, and babies, which I totally can,
And
uh,
rainbows.
yeah, then I'm considered I don't know, an extremist, a racist, a
You're far right.
anti-Semite.
You're far right, aren't you? You're a far right extremist at this point, just for putting your ideas and thoughts onto canvas or into a song.
Yeah, but the problem is like we can't reach a larger audience. We're pigeonholed into a arena that we're perpetually the opening act.
Hmm. The irony of that being is, the ones that are telling the truth, because I think the truth tellers should be the ones who are the most rewarded. But we live in a very inverted world where the liars are rewarded and people like us are just banished to this little corner of the internet and punished for saying what we're saying. That's the insanity of it.
Yeah, speaking of pathological liars, I made a mistake earlier. I had put out a press release made by Jane Ava Tracy, and on the cover, I put down that the compulsive pathological liar Dustin Nemos will be on the show at noon Eastern Daylight Time. Some people thought it was 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So, no, it will be noon Eastern Daylight Time, which is about 2 hours and 15 minutes from now. Dustin Nemos, whose real name is Dustin Craig Krieger. It's not a debate. People are thinking it's a debate. It's just that he's publicly been spreading lies about me because I've exposed him. And he's claiming all sorts of things that I'm stolen valor, that I am a Jew, that I am a satanic Mossad, quadruple CIA double agent, and a pedophile pornographer. So
Wow.
there's no debating that. It's just show me the convictions, show me the proof, and that's that. So I'm wondering if he'll even show up. Even if he doesn't show up, we will continue with the show. Vince will be moderating that. And that was brought to my attention by some of the viewers who saw him spouting these lies. And so I've just invited him on the show with Vince as the moderator to share the evidence because talk is cheap. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to clear that up because some people tuned in
This
thinking,
is what happens when you're over the mark. You get defamed, and they come in and do their damage control, don't they? So I'll be very much looking forward to that. I'll be tuning into that for sure. So good for you for having him on if he turns up.
yeah, well, that's the thing. We've got to fight back. These people are spreading lies and they're normalizing lies. And like you said, those who are spreading the most lies are the ones who are most venerated and exalted.
Mm.
And that's got to stop. It's not good for mankind and our development. Because if all we're going to be believing and trusting are liars and their lies, then we're in a whole lot of trouble. That's what got us
We're in
into
a lot of
this.
trouble. I mean, you look at the Epstein files. They basically admitted to humanity what the leaders of this world get up to in their little rooms, and nobody bats an eyelid. So if that's the case, we're in a shitload of trouble.
Yeah, but I don't want to be a black pillar. I do believe, like you said, what I've done is I've moved out of that system. I'm nowhere near 5G, and I'm still able to reach millions of people around the world, even though I'm shadow banned, censored, and debanked. Still, we're reaching people, and you'd be surprised. The numbers are going up slowly but
Fantastic.
surely, drip, drip, drip. People are tuning in and tuning out of the lies. So, yeah, that's why I always say never give up, never surrender. And art will save mankind like it has throughout history. Artists are the ones who forge the future because we are mavericks, really. What you're doing
But look,
is,
look what they're doing with art, though. Look what they're doing with AI. I mean, they're trying to get AI to replace real artists. Look at AI music. Now, there's even AI music that Spotify is absolutely flooded with AI music. It's everywhere now. Everybody can write an album in 5 minutes. No, so they're trying to get rid of the creative arts because they realize how powerful it really is. So I'm just seeing this AI artwork everywhere, this AI music everywhere. AI is going to be your therapist. AI is going to be your this, your that, your architect, your absolutely everything. So you can see the agendas right there. It's this kind of well, I don't know. The good thing is about that is that people are going to want. There's going to be a want and need for real artistry. So I think it's gonna we might be going underground like on the black markets, but people are gonna want real music. People that actually play instruments, they're gonna hopefully start flocking to see. This is another reason why I'm getting off the internet and going into the real world, and I'm having gatherings here in Spain. I've got an event happening in September. If anybody wants more information on that, conspiracymusicguru.com, click on events. And I'm starting to go into the real world with real interactions with real people and playing music. In fact, because I just see AI music, AI this, AI that, censorship, like doom, fear, fear, fear. It's like, why do I even open my laptop in the morning, man? It's just depressing. I mean, I like to keep my ear to the ground. I want to know what's going on in the world, but the more I open my laptop, the more I'm like, I need to, just get out and have events and bring people into the real world and actually start having festivals and that kind of thing. Because I think there's going to be a want and need for that.
Well, see, the hope that I have is I'm noticing what you're noticing about the artificial intelligence music and the artwork, and it's clear as day that it's artificial. It's artificial intelligence. It doesn't have the soul that we as artists who are light workers have. And we are not like everybody else because we think differently, we see differently, we hear differently. We are artists. It's just different. And artificial intelligence, I can tell. I see all these people making these covers and they're dark and they're just not real. I'm still old school. I put thought into my every thumbnail. I put thought into every work of art, and it doesn't get done in 2 minutes. You can't make an album in 5 minutes. That's ridiculous because the whole process of making music is trial and error. And
Mm.
what artificial intelligence does is it takes what other people have done, compresses it, steals it, and then tweaks it to say, okay, this is new music. And then what's
Yeah.
really disgusting is these people, they take credit for it. They're like, oh, look, my new album. It's like, it's not your new album,
Oh,
dude.
it drives me insane. I see people posting, I've made a new album. Listen to my new album, and you're like, like you said, it takes me a year to make an album. 6 months if I'm really lucky, if I really push myself. It takes me a year, and it is that trial and error and the figuring out and trying to find those nice chord changes and everything. There's a whole intent that goes into that. And no, definitely there's no intent in it. So yeah, it does drive me mad, but and it does plagiarize as well. It basically takes everything it's learned from the music industry thus far and plagiarizes it. And there's a lot of lawsuits, and the original artists sadly are losing, which is very, very frightening. So I envisage a future where it's quite dystopian. I mean, this is the storyline of every dystopian movie, isn't it? It's just like where there's just no critical thought anymore. There's no creativity. Everyone's stuck in their little container homes with their VR goggles on. It's not even leaving the house, let alone pick up a guitar. So it's quite disturbing. Hence, again, to repeat myself, is why I need to get into the real world and work with real musicians. And because I'm old school, I like people actually playing instruments.
Yeah, there's nothing like being at a live event. And what's interesting about being a live event is that you feel that energy of being surrounded by whether it's 10 people or thousands of people, or in some cases, hundreds of thousands of people. That energy is indescribable. And I've been blessed through the modern art music movement to have performed with legends in the music industry, including members of Steely Dan, the Doobie Brothers, Boston, Cheap Trick, the Goo Goo Dolls, and to be on stage and to feel that energy and to feel the adoration of the audience. It's an ebb and flow. It's a give and take of energy and frequency. It's really quite astounding. And
100%. It's amazing. It's absolutely outstanding because I've done, the little pub gigs here and there, and even in that kind of small. In fact, the smaller gigs are often more incredible. I've had some incredible gigs over the years in very, very small, intimate locations. And it's just that energy that there's something there. And I had a gathering at my villa in Spain last year, and I invited my close followers, Patreon supporters, and I said, I'm having a party. Do you want to come? And about 80 people showed up. And I haven't got the biggest villa in the world, but it was packed. And me and my guitarist, we played all in 4/3/2 hertz. Maybe we can get into that. And there was just like this eruption of joy and thanks and gratitude and people hugging me, and you look each other in the eye, and it's like people want this, people need this. And that was when I went, holy crap, I've been in my studio for the last 8 years trying to wake people up with this music, and I'm very proud that I did that. I'm very glad that I did that. But now internet is pushing me out of the room, going, right, now do this in the real world. Hence me having these events, and I hope to do them year after year after year. But to feel that amazing energy, just at my, I've really blessed my house with some incredible energy. We did it on the equinox as well, which there must have been some kind of astrological energy going on there. But I've never felt that sort of that buzz before, and it was just like I came up. It took me 2 or 3 weeks to come down from that event, just having a small gathering at my place, and I'm like, I've got the bug now. It's just like, and now thankfully I'm blessed. I've found some decent musicians to try and find decent musicians that speak my language, not just on the truth side, but actually, English and not Spanish. Find musicians that will work for free and to do it for the love of the cause. That's really, really hard. So, but thankfully, I found a couple of really great musicians now who I'm working with. And it's really, really exciting now that we're going to be doing these live gigs and bringing people together from all over the world and having that buzz that you talk of.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because one of the most incredible experiences of my life was doing a short tour with a band called De Soul. I grew up uh, with Jerry Monterosa, who's the lead singer of that band, and James Guerrero also. It's kind of strange that in my class at Incarnation School in Queens Village, New York, these people turned out to be musicians, and they contacted me years later. They said, "Hey, listen, we hear that you're with the modern art music movement. I have synesthesia, so I hear wavelengths and frequencies and color, and I'm able to interpret the event. I take the energy of the venue. Sometimes there are historical venues where the Rolling Stones and Billy Joel and Coldplay have played. And as you know, there is an energy that remains on that stage. And I feel that. I also pick up on the energy of the band and the energy of the audience, and I coalesce it on canvas to create a Rorschach interpretation of the event. As a matter of fact, the work of art that is behind me was created in front of a large audience in the Republic of Georgia near the border with Russia, and it was with a Belarusian band. And I had members from Russia, Ukraine, Georgia, and Belarus in the audience. And so I created that work of art behind me. But like you said, with creating an album, God is in the details. So you get the initial inspiration for the tune, and then afterwards you have to go in and you have to fine tune it. That's why these artificial intelligence albums are crap
Garbage, yeah.
because it's the fine tuning. So I'm sharing with the audience the evolution of the art, and every once in a while I go in and I do the detail because God is in the details. So sometimes it'll take me up to 10 years to finish a work of art because I work on several different pieces at once. But yeah, that's why people say, oh, I could do that. Yeah, that's fine. Go for it. I encourage everybody to be an artist. But yeah, that's the difference between fine art and the art that people do in one sitting and then say, okay, here it is. It's like, no, you gotta get in. You really go deep into the art. And to me, that's my favorite part, which it sounds like with you too, because you get the inspiration, but then you go deeper and you find the chords and you find the nuance in what
Yeah.
you were inspired to do. Can you describe for me? Because that was one of the strangest feelings I ever had. I remember being on tour with these guys and people coming backstage into the bus and everything, asking for autographs on their breasts and all. And it's like, wow, you're a rock star. And then afterwards, I went with the lead singer to his house for a couple of days because we were making music for a film that I'm working on. And as soon as we got off the bus, his wife greeted him with a kiss and then said, "Hey, listen, rock star, take out the garbage and take your kid to the school bus because it's his first day in school." So there we were, dressed like a heavy metal band and everything, and we were surrounded by MILFs and soccer moms and everything, and they were just we looked so strange because we traveled all through the night to get there because he was wanting to be there for his son's first day in school, and it was just so funny because then you get brought down to reality. It's
Back
like,
to
you know
reality. I
what?
was just about,
Yeah,
you took the words right out of my mouth.
yeah.
Back to reality, yeah.
It's like you're not a rock star. You're my husband. You're the father. Get back over there, you know? Can you explain what that's like? Because you're right. It takes weeks sometimes to come down from that high.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that does for me. Is it just when and you go back into? I mean, my reality is basically quite joyous anyway. I mean, apart from looking at the terrible state of the world, But I'm very, very blessed that I don't have a boss. I don't have to check in or check out. I live in a very beautiful location, so I don't really have to snap back to reality and go back and do my 9 to 5. I don't have children, so I'm pretty free in that sense that I can, But that event, after feeling that energy, all that made me do was want to do it again. And I'm right. Let's get a band. And we've got a bass player. It happened very serendipitously. It just happened by accident, which is great. So it's like now we're all so energized from this event from last year that we want to do it again. And it's just made me get back into the studio. It's made me write new songs. Now, my bass player just flew over from the UK to Spain for 3 days to rehearse nonstop for 3 days. Had an absolute blast. The energy was incredible. We did really well, very proud of ourselves. And it's just enthused me. So there's no real snap back to reality to me. It's just right, we had this amazing music event. Let's get back into the studio with that energy and concentrate on next year's amazing music event. And that's just what I think I'm going to be doing for the foreseeable future. I'm very excited by it all.
I think that's why they take advantage of artists is because we do it whether we get paid or not, because we love what we do. And I
Yeah.
noticed that with a lot of promoters and a lot of venue owners. And I remember working with the English Beat and General Public, Roger Wakeling and these guys. And sometimes after the show, the owners of the venue would say, "Oh, listen, you know what? We don't have all the money that we promised you, if you can come back next week." And it's like, no, we got to get on the tour bus. We're heading to another place. I want my money now. And what people don't see is after the audience leaves, sometimes the band leaders have to grab the owner of the venue and say, "Listen, you're going to pay me now, or I'm going to kick your ass,"
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, and I see this all the time, where sometimes people they get promised X amount of dollars and they get half, and they just say, like, be happy that you had a gig. And so, yeah, that's really disappointing how artists are taken advantage of, and you see it all the time in the music industry, in the film industry. Why is that? Why are we such?
Well, if you're starting to get involved in music and festivals on a bigger scale, you're going to start to see that. I've heard it a million times. So I don't want my events to become these big festivals. They're going to be much more intimate, and I'm going to be in control of every aspect of it. Which I kind of like. So yeah, there's no way I'd be stiffing my musicians if they turn up and did a gig, they get paid because I have morals and decency. But yeah, I guess if you're operating in the music industry at that level, there's just I don't know. Unfortunately, there's greed in the world, isn't there? It's just the bigger these events get, the more variables there are, the more shady characters there are, the more money grab, the more greed there is. So I'm going to keep my events, to like 400 people max, 500.
Yeah, I've had people, I don't know if you've had this, but they're like, "Hey man, listen, you could be performing with so and so and who, and you won't get paid anything, but you'll get a lot of publicity and everything." I'm like, "Listen, man, I don't need any more publicity. I got all the publicity I want. So, either pay me or forget about it. I'm not going to do it."
Yeah.
So I've turned down gigs because they try to give me that. But the thing is, they go, "Oh, okay, well, if you won't do it, we'll get somebody else to do it." And then
Fine.
somebody else is always ready to come in and
Mm.
for the publicity do it for free. And
Yeah.
that just ruins it for everybody else.
It really does. I mean, I've been taken advantage of many, many times in that respect because you're hungry for something, you want that exposure, and then you realise there's a recurring theme here. People are just going, "Oh, Alex will do it. Alex will do it. Get him it," and I do it, and I do it, and do it, and eventually I'm like, I'm just working for everybody else, and I'm not even getting paid. So eventually I had to get to that point where I'm like, I had to, have a subscription service and get people to support what I do. Like I say, truthers, people that are speaking this language should be supported. They should be financially rewarded. They should be the most financially rewarded people. These kind of creative artists should be the most rewarded, but we're not. So yeah, so I got to that point where I just said, no, I'm not doing it, unless I can get actually at least get my expenses covered or give me some, just pay. It's really, really hard, and we shouldn't have to feel guilty about being paid for the work that we do. That's what an insane inversion that is.
Yeah, it totally is. It's not like because I remember there was some lawyers one time that wanted me to do some stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, you're asking me to work for free. How about if I ask you, hey, listen, would you take this legal work and do it for free? You'll get some publicity for this. And they look at me, they go, no, we charge 350 or
Yeah.
$500 an hour. I go, well, if you're not willing to work for free, why am I supposed to work for free?
It's
So
it's insane. It's insane. I mean, I 90% of the work that 95% of the work that I put out, I've put out for free. And then I have this little 5% of work that I keep behind the paywall for people, for supporters that want to see behind the scenes, rehearsal footage, outtakes, interviews, that kind of stuff. And people still complain about that. I mean, imagine being the absolute asshole that goes to a restaurant, opens the menu and sees 95% of the food is there for free. And then in the back page, there's like 5% of the meals that are special meals that you have to actually pay for. Imagine being the absolute asshole that complains to the manager and says, "You're charging for these five dishes on your menu when all of them it's just like that's what you have to deal with in this community. It's absolutely insane.
In this community of doing these live streams, first of all, I'm very grateful to people like Truth Addict 189, who is sharing in compassionate wealth by clicking on the donate button, and to all those who donate by going to the victorhugocollection.com. And also, please donate to the Conspiracy Music Guru at conspiracymusicguru.com. And that's not begging, that's just asking for people to share in compassionate wealth because that keeps the soul currency flowing. See, the
Yeah.
thing is, it's an exchange of currency, energy, and there's a natural law to that. When you give, you actually end up receiving. It's really interesting. I've had people who have donated and said, wow, after I donated, I ended up, I don't know, coming into some money or something.
Well,
So
that's it. I was just about to ask the very opposite of that. I wonder if the people that are just, just drinking everything you're doing for free, I wonder if they ever have negative experiences. I don't know. I wonder.
I think they do. And I'll tell you where I was going with that. You were saying about the people with the menu and the 95% complaining about the 5% that actually have to pay. It is about 5% that actually support this channel. So thank you very much. And then the other 95%, they'll come into the comment section and they'll bitch and complain and they'll say, horrible things about the show. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Nobody's forcing you to listen to this.
Mm.
And why is your life so vapid that you actually take time out of your life to listen to a show that you hate and then actually go into the comment section and leave comments about how much you hate this show? I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, get a life. I don't get it.
Yeah, it shows what we're up against. It's like I said, it's the worst business decision I ever made and one of the hardest things I've ever done. But my God, I wouldn't have it any other way. I kind of enjoy the struggle, really, in a way. And it is a hard struggle to try and get support and to try and get people to encourage, and I've almost thought of giving up so many times. I wanted to throw it in, do you know what? I'm just going to go and sell ringtones or I'm going to go out and do gigs or something like that. I've been on that in that place many a time, but something inside me goes, no, just keep doing it, keep doing it. Sadly, you do have to go. My Patreon's three quid a month, like $3 a month. It's like nothing. Imagine what people pay for their Spotify and their name. I mean, there's a huge list of what people pay for. So it's you have to. Sometimes I had to be that guy and go, please support, or it's just. What do you do? What do you do?
Well, it's humbling, but I've thought of quitting only once, and it happened when I was on BitChute, which I thought was a free speech channel, and I realized that Ray Vahey is also controlled opposition because I had about 6,000 followers on BitChute, and I was averaging about 100,000 views, and then all of a sudden I did a report on the dual citizenship, which now everybody's talking about because AIPAC and Congress and the Senate and the White House, these people who are lawmakers in the USA have dual citizenship and loyalty towards Israel while they're making up laws in the United States to have the taxpayers fund their own demise. The moment that that started gaining traction, all of a sudden, the next day, I went from 100,000 views to 150 views. Now I'm averaging less than 100 views with still almost 6,000 subscribers, which doesn't even make sense because that means those people actually get email notifications of when I upload something. So that means that 99% of the people that get those emails don't even bother to watch the show. And then I've actually videotaped how the numbers go in reverse. As the numbers reach a
Yeah.
certain part, they start taking the numbers down. So for about 3 or 4 days, I was disenchanted and I thought of giving up. But then I said, you know what? Fuck these people. I'm going to keep doing it because I enjoy doing this. I really enjoy doing this. And I think the people that watch this show and the live chat and stuff who participate in it, they enjoy it too. So I'm not going to give these people the satisfaction. And
So are you talking about your Rumble numbers right now or YouTube numbers?
Rumble, BitChute, I'm banned from YouTube. Every time I actually get on somebody's show who's on YouTube, they must have my name on like a blacklist or something because the moment
Yeah.
it goes on there, they take it down.
I've found that
So
myself. I've said to my wife many times, I said, there must be something about this face or this voice that's been imprinted on the system that every time this
yeah.
guy, me goes, when I go onto someone else's show, it's the worst performing show they've ever had for whatever reason. I don't think it's me. Well, it is me, of course, but I think the shows are engaging. It's not that they're not. It's just they fiddle. They know the name Conspiracy Music Guru. They know Alex Michael. They know this face. They know my voice. And every time I appear on someone's show, it's just like they barely get any views. It's insane. So it's happening. I didn't realize it was happening on Rumble and BitChute though.
Well, you have fans in the live chat who are saying that they're very glad to see you on this show here. An Englishman in
Fantastic.
Spain, Alex, God bless you, brother. So yeah, that's cool.
Thank you.
You've got your fans tuning in. So
Great.
where would you like to take this conversation, Alex?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a specialist in anything really. I'm a bit of a jack of all trades, and I'd take the bullet points of what I've learned and everything and always put it into music and deliver it in that way. So I'm no expert on any given subject, but I know the bullet points on most given subjects. I recently did a presentation on 432 hertz and 440. Maybe we could touch on that a little bit. I mean, there's a reason why I make all my music in 432 hertz. There's a reason why I think 440 hertz is the fluoride of the music industry. I don't think that tuning standard was chosen for the benefit of humanity. And if anybody wants to see that presentation, it's on my channel, YouTube, and on Rumble, Conspiracy Music Guru, and see the presentation that says 432 hertz versus 440. And I go into a lot of detail there showing the spread of this 440 standard, and you start to see very nefarious characters behind the spread of this tuning standard, namely Goebbels and Rockefeller funding the whole thing, and another character by the name of Deegan, who had a huge music instrument factory in Chicago in the 30s, I think it was, producing all instruments tuned to 440, and eventually he got that 440 tuning standing into radio and into public buildings and churches, and making all the chimes and bells for churches all recorded in 440 hertz, and then eventually got this tuning standard onto radio and then onto television, and you could start to see, you know, these aristocrats and this funding, like pushing this tuning standard like a cancer into humanity. And now we don't really have any music anymore. You know, it's just like, and I show it also in that presentation the benefits of 432 hertz and the healing effects that has. And I've kind of proven that with my albums and the testimonials that I've got. So I'm very passionate about the 432 hertz and solfeggio frequencies and, you know, healing frequencies that I've embedded into my music. And I've just gauged the feedback really. And so I'm utterly convinced that if music is made in the right frequency, in my opinion, 432 hertz, if it's done with the right intent and unbastardized and uncompressed, then profound things can happen. And I've seen that with my music over the years.
Well, you may be responsible for some children being brought into this plane of existence, Alex, because we have a fan of yours, Vince Feline Discuss, says he shagged his wife to your 432 hertz music. So good for you. You've
I know
inspired.
Vince. How you doing, Vince? Oh, it's good to see him in the chat. That's awesome. How you doing, Vince, mate?
You've
Yes, he
ins-
did. I had a stream with him, and a very, very smart guy, also a musician. And we was going through the solfeggio stuff on his stream, and I was explaining how it's done, and we played samples of the tracks and everything, and I was showing that I start with an initial sine wave frequency, which sounds like, and I have that all the way through the track. And then I start to build the instrumental around that healing frequency, this solfeggio frequency. And almost to the point where you can't hear that sine wave frequency anymore. You can just hear the music. And then I change the chords and it still works with that initial bass frequency. Then I change the chords again and it's all melodically very, very well sort of made. And I was showing that to Vince and he was like, wow, I didn't realize that. I'd heard you talk about solfeggio, but I didn't realize this was how it's made. This is amazing. He said, I'm going to fuck my wife to this music.
Yeah, and
Okay, I thought of that, you know, before. That's actually probably a good thing to do. And then before you know it, a couple of weeks had passed, and he messaged me on Twitter saying, "Yeah, I fucked my wife to your music, man." I said, "Cool, great."
I had a Janice Barcelo who will be coming back on the show, and she was talking about the importance of when you bring a life into this plane of existence, the exchange of pure love between the man and the woman, because the initial seeding of the egg with the sperm comes from love, as opposed to if the child is born through rape or through people who are just having just carnal sex.
Mm.
So yeah, there is an importance to love making. And when you bring a child into this world, it should have the positive frequency because that stays
Yeah,
with it
imagine
through.
if if you could really benefit a little human's life by conceiving it in the most loving way with the most, well-made music. I mean, I would say that, wouldn't I? But at least with music tuned to the right frequency, with the right intent and ambassador, and adding that to the mix, during conception. I mean, I've never even thought about that until Vince mentioned it, but I thought, maybe that. I mean, I've had friends of mine that have actually given birth whilst listening to my solfeggio albums. So, whether that really has an impact on the future of that child, I don't know. But the powers that be certainly do their incantations and rituals over the master recordings of John Todd was one of these whistleblowers that was telling everybody what goes on in these record labels and in these recording studios. They have a little temple room and they take the master and they do all these sort of incantations and rituals over this. So they're actually putting some malintent into that. Whether it has an effect on the listener, I don't know, but they certainly believe it does. So I think they might have something there. So if I'm putting good intent into an album and then you're listening to that album whilst doing something, I don't know, sex or whatever, surely there must be a positive outcome if doing that, I would suggest.
Yeah, and that's true because I also did shows on the 432 hertz versus the devil frequency, the Satan's frequency, which is what they put in on purpose because they knew that it was malevolent and that it was a lower vibration. And that's part of how they control these NPCs is that they have you in that constant state of fear and anxiety and despair with the music that you hear not only on the radio stations but on television. It's been, I think it was passed into law in the USA. And so, yeah, they could very well tune everything to 432, but by design, they want to keep us down. And also,
Exactly.
it's such a small world, Alex, because it turns out that Vince Feline Discuss is actually the gentleman who will be on the show in 2 hours from now. He will be moderating the
Ah, what a
so
small world.
yeah,
Holy crap.
I had no idea. So we've got Vince in the house, and he will be here in actually an hour and 45 minutes, trying to maintain some sort of
Order.
order with Dustin Nemos, who's just he's a pathological liar, but he's also a gaslighter, and it's just
I can't
I'm
wait to watch it. I'm out this afternoon. I'm out for dinner this evening, and I want to. I can't wait to see it. So please send me the link to that. And isn't that fascinating? Vince really gets around, man. He's a great worker. He really does. He's definitely a light worker. So he's doing some great work. He absolutely shadow banned as well. I mean, he's lucky if he gets 50 views on his channel. I think he's got like 15,000 subscribers and gets 50 views. So he's absolutely over the target. So what a small world. I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, isn't it a small world? I had no idea. And he's over in Sweden. So that's the
Yeah.
magic of this technology that we're using, which is really not new. This technology has been around for years, just like artificial intelligence is something that's been around for a way long time. We're tapping into the ether. And that's another reason why I have hope, because artists like us and we are using what they're trying to weaponize against us, we're actually using it to raise awareness and increase the level of positive frequency. So I do believe that in the end, we're going to win. I agree with Yuval Noah Harari, who calls these NPCs useless eaters. But once the useless eaters kill themselves off willingly, because they seem to be a death cult who just want to live in despair, I think it's going to really be a beautiful world. They're not going to be able to kill us all.
Yeah, I hope so. I do have hope. I know I've been a little bit sort of. I'm mostly kind of negative when it comes to the future because I just see this tyrannical, this octopus that has its tentacles in everything. There seems to be an attack on humanity. It's like we're under this multi-pronged attack, and I just see it getting worse and worse and worse. So I'm always quite bleak when this conversation comes up, but I do have some hope. I do see people waking up. I do see people getting fed up and pissed off. Whether it happens in my lifetime or not. I don't know. I'd love to be on my deathbed and just seeing revolution and seeing the world changing and know that I've sort of played my own little musical part in that, being the drummer on the battlefield, just like keeping morale up, go, come on, lads, come on, lads. So I don't know. I think I'm just very, very impatient when it comes to seeing change because I want it to happen immediately. I see the world as this disastrous place that needs fixing, and it could so easily be fixed if people like us were running the world. But so I do have hope. It's not all doom and gloom on my end. I do cope with life actually quite with a spring in my step, despite seeing, how terrible things are sometimes.
I think the cool part of being alive during this momentous time in the history and development of mankind is being an artist. Because, wow, we just see things differently. I think part is because of the amount of time that we have. Like, this is my job. I am a full-time artist. I don't have a part-time gig. I don't have a full-time gig. A lot of artists and actors, they're part-time waitresses or doing this, that, or the other thing. And it really does impact your ability to be creative because in order to be creative, you can't be worried about your boss or your coworkers. Like I'm my boss.
Yeah,
I co-work.
isn't that a wonderful thing because it does take. It's like you said about the tweaking and everything that goes into an album. Just that constant tweaking. I could do that for months and months just to get that awesome sound and get it exactly how I want it to sound. So I forget where I was going with that now.
The fact that you're your own boss and as an artist, you're able to create an album, which again cannot be done in 5 minutes, not if it's any good. And
Mm.
yeah, that's why I respect the artists of old and the artists of new like you who dare to work independently. I really do appreciate again all those who support independent artists. Cheers, by the way. Smoke them if you got them, folks.
Natural tobacco without additives. I love being a pipe smoker. I started smoking a pipe when I was about 40, but it didn't really suit me. But now I've got a grey beard, I can get away with it.
Yeah, I also natural tobacco because one of the things I learned during the COVID psyop was that the reason why they didn't want people to smoke was because it turns out that it actually had things in it that prevented you from getting whatever it is that they're putting out there. And yeah, I just smoke natural tobacco and I don't smoke any of the cigarettes that have the added carcinogen and all the
Yeah,
other poisons in it. So yeah,
yeah.
that's how I'm
I
smoking.
don't think tobacco's the problem. Tobacco's not the problem. It's the choice of tobacco, and to my own detriment, and I get a lot of hate for saying this. I even think the same is true with alcohol. It's not alcohol that's the problem. It's your choice of alcohol. If you're talking, real high quality alcohol, like which is basically just fermented grapes, like a real fine cognac, I don't think that's an issue at all. But it's just drinking that goy slop, the pints of lager, the pints of beer, and the wines. It's cheap for a reason. It's the reason why a bottle of cognac is, a good bottle of cognac is like 100, $200. So, and everything in moderation, people as well. I don't, eat brilliant, but, no one gets out of here alive. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's true. So let's get into the 432 hertz. When did you first discover this Rockefeller New World Order agenda to, and again, it's called Satan's frequency because it does apparently, there was something to do with Satan and the hertz that they have. Are you familiar with that or no?
No, I mean, you can do all sorts of numerology when it comes to 432 hertz and 440. And you can find, numerologically speaking, that 440 is supposed to be and those numbers are supposed to be more of a stress kind of number, or more of a working kind of number. And it does kind of lend true when you think about 440 hertz music, particularly rock music. It has this aggression to it. And cymatics is a good key as well. It's not my go-to, but when you see 440 hertz cymatically, which is when you take a plate, you put a frequency through it, and you sprinkle some flour over it, you play 440 hertz through that, and you're going to get muddy, just no kind of shape, whatever. Put 432 through that same plate, you're going to start seeing some like snowflake patterns, very coherent and geometrically beautiful. If that's what's going on a cellular level, I would prefer the 432, personally speaking. So when you look at 440, there's a reason why the main demographic of people that listen to music is your teenagers, and they're listening to like Slipknot for 8 hours a day in 440 hertz, and we wonder why they're like these teenagers are so aggressive, and like they don't respond, and they just respond with grunts, and they're violent. And I do think music plays a part in that, and I think what I wanted to say earlier, that 432 hertz is, I think if we all tuned our music that way, we'd be seeing a very different landscape in terms of health and well-being. So, and I think I've proved that with my solfeggio albums, the profound effects and healing effects that it's had. And I just wondered, what if the entire music industry was using this tuning frequency? And it wasn't satanic, and it wasn't this frequency that was funded by the Rockefellers, and you start to see the spread of it like this cancer. What is that doing to human health? What is that doing to consciousness? Well, I think they knew what they were doing. Nazis behind it. They were very good at mind control, right? They loved that stuff. So they've been experimenting pre-war. So they now know that these certain frequencies can have, certain detrimental effects. And why not tune? Because if we're under this multi-pronged attack where our food's being poisoned, education system poisoned, water, just like the farmer, every poison, do you think they would have just left music alone? Oh, we won't poison that. No, of course, it's the one thing we love. So one thing that we absolutely love is music. So absolutely they've poisoned that. And you start to see that when you follow the history of, how this tuning standard, this 440 satanic frequency tuning, as you put it, was spread all over the world, eventually into Europe. And now we've adopted it as our tuning standard. And now add compression onto that. And then add Cardi B singing about her private parts. Then add all of that stuff. I'm not even sure it's music at this point. So I just wonder if everybody tuned to 432, what would we be looking at in terms of health and well-being? And I think we need to start right there. I think I wonder if we could start our own, movement to try and get back to this 432 tuning. I don't know if that's even possible, but I see a better world with that tuning for sure.
Well, I don't think anything is impossible, and I think that that is going to happen. I think what's happening right now is the awakening because we are in the apocalypse and the veil is being lifted, and people are starting to see, like in that movie, The Wizard of Oz, that the person who's pulling the levers is actually a frail old man who
Yeah.
is really just a con artist. And I think that this new generation, even with the autism, because I've worked with autistic children and they are on a whole nother level. And you can get through to them. And the way I got through to them was with music and art. I did a benefit show for kids with autism. And the mother came up to me with tears in her eyes. She goes, "Oh my God, you performed a miracle." I said, "What happened?" She says, "My son hasn't talked in 3 years. And he was talking to you the whole time." I mean, I couldn't get this kid to shut up. And I looked at her and I was like, well, like, I don't know. I just was just doing art with music.
That's alchemy. At that point, you're some sort of sound alchemist. If you're doing it with the right intention in the right frequency, look what you did there. Something absolutely profound happened. Look how powerful music could be right in that moment. So I'm seeing that. I mean, I've not had that experience, but I'm seeing people write to me saying they had terrible trauma and terrible anxiety and terrible this and terrible that and terrible pain here and they can't sleep and blah blah blah. One listen to the album, gone. I mean, I'm very careful not to use the word cure here because you can't say I'm curing people with music, but I do believe it can be. At that point, you're some kind of sound wizard. Look how powerful frequency can be when delivered correctly. It can move mountains literally.
Well, also in working with children with autism, what they conveyed to me is that the reason why they don't speak to their parents or to people that they have like an instinct that they can tell if you're genuine or not. And they say, I've got nothing to say to them because they won't even listen. So they, as a weapon, use it against these people that they know are fake. And a lot of parents actually don't really want their kids. And they don't even realize that they're projecting that onto their children. They feel that their children are a burden. So the kids are like, you know what? I'm not going to speak to you. And they see that it drives their parents crazy. So they're like, okay, I'll just keep driving you crazy by not talking to you. But yeah, meanwhile, with me, because they see me as a artist and they're like, wow, this guy is actually doing what my parents tell me not to do, which is to doodle and to just express themselves. So they feel comfortable with me. And yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Probably the
They're
best thing you can do with autistic children is probably give them some crayon, give them a guitar, let them. They would be incredible at it. So they just they don't have that outlet. What incredible! I've never even thought about that before. Actually, are there many autistic children that have music as an outlet? Maybe that's an idea.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't even realize I was doing that. I've told this story before. I was doing an all-star jam with members of what is it, Steely Dan, the Doobie Brothers, Boston, I forgot what other bands, Bon Jovi and stuff, and they were supposed to do this benefit with me, but they all ended up getting drunk and they didn't show up. So Fox News was there and they were going to be filming it, and I'm the only one who showed up. And so the kids were all disappointed because they were expecting something. And I was like, listen, I'm not going to let this, I'm not going to disappoint these kids. So I just asked the teachers, do you guys have a boom box? Let's set something up spontaneously. And we did it. It was just real ragtag, but the kids loved it. I got to spend time with the kids. And wow, it was such a poignant moment for me because I remember, I'll never forget this, just such cute little he was a retarded child, but retards are great. They're so pure. And so he runs up to me and he hugs me and he just wouldn't let go. And I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And it was just, I'll never forget it. It was heartwarming. It was just pure love. And
Yeah,
we had a great time.
yeah, amazing, isn't it? They're so there was a program on UK TV once, and I think it was called The Undateables, where they take these retarded people and they try and find them love. They have a specific website for people with learning disabilities that want to find love. And these two, I call them retarded or they had learning disabilities, whatever. I'm sorry if that word offends, but whatever.
No, they're
But they,
retards. They're great. You could call them retards.
yeah, okay, great. Yeah,
Let's
here's a
call them
word.
what they are. And they
Yeah,
accept it too. They're like,
yeah,
I'm
okay.
retarded, no
So
problem.
these guys they fell in love, and it was such a beautiful piece of television. I'm not a fan of the television, but this was when I was watching the television many years ago. And these two guys they fell in love, and it was so beautiful. There was nothing but love. And I said to the wife, I said, "Look how happy they are. They have absolutely no idea of the world that they live in. They're just immersed. They're just absolutely just." And it was so. They're often the happiest people on earth, aren't they?
Yeah, they are because even when they're getting insulted and when their people are mocking them, they it just slides off their shoulders and they're like, whatever, man, I'm in my own little happy world. And that's
Yeah.
cool. What made me really disgusted was how during the COVID, they were actually holding the retards down and injecting them with the poison.
Oh, mate. Oh, that's
I
just
mean, that's like murder what was going on
yeah.
there. So, yeah, the whole world changed after 9/11 and the COVID psyop. And now we're getting ready to go into some really dark times, which, like Goya and like Pablo Picasso and others, we will be documenting as artists. And I think some of our best work is yet to come because of the darkness that we're about to witness.
Well, we never get writer's block. I never get writer's block because there's always something to sing about, to pour your heart. Because as I said before, it's therapy for me. I don't need a therapist. I need a guitar and a microphone. So so whatever's to come, I'm sure it's going to spur some creativity. But as I said before, I've made so many songs to wake a dead horse that I don't need to do that anymore. What I need to do is get into the real world and start playing in front of an audience again, which I haven't done for so many years. So just doing the same thing, but with real people.
¿Hablas español?
Un poco, sí. Estamos aprendiendo lentamente, día a día, pero mi español es poco mal.
I have traveled to Spain several times. It is such a beautiful country. I remember fondly Segovia. Have you been to Segovia?
No, I don't travel actually. I have a few little visa restrictions which I'm working on right now. I get invited all over the place to perform at that, and I have to say no every time, which is why I'm bringing people to me for these events. No, I'm just trying to get my visa stuff. So interesting to the dual citizenship. I have to get Polish residency. It's a long story, but
Yeah, I heard about that. You could get Polish residency, and that works for people in Spain. I've heard that that's how
if you
they're.
have a Polish descent, which my grandfather's Polish, if you can prove your descent to Poland, then I can get citizenship there, and then I can travel around freely in Europe and into the UK. But at the moment, I'm restricted at the moment. What a free world that you can't go to another landmass. You have to have the papers, right? It's insane, but I'm having to deal with that at the moment. And then I'll travel. But no, sorry, I haven't been.
And what people don't realize too is this so-called elites. These, to me, they're not even human. They don't have social security numbers. They don't have passports. When they travel in their private jets all over the world, they never have to go through customs. So passports and social security numbers are for the serfs, for what they call the useless eaters, and that's
It's a
how they keep
construct,
us
yeah.
under control.
Yeah.
But yeah, these so-called elites, they don't have that. That's why they say, oh, well, there's no such thing as open borders for you, but for
Mm.
them, they go anywhere and everywhere.
Well, they're living in the private, aren't they? We're living in the public. That's the difference.
Totally. And I prefer living in the public because the private is even sicker. Most of these families, I'm finding out, they end up torturing their children at an early age. Most of them, even Armie Hammer, who is the star of Citizen Vigilante, admitted that he was sexually abused as a child. And what happens is they sexually abuse the children before they're 5 years old because it actually impacts their spinal cord and
Mm.
they're easily manipulated and they're under MK Ultra, which is something that I will be tapping into Tuesday with Jeffrey Silverman. We are going to be doing a show on MK Ultra. A lot of people think they know what's going on with that, but it's more obvious now than ever that a lot of people are under MK Ultra, and that's
I think we see it in
probably
the music industry as well, don't we? A lot of these artists are under mind control, clearly.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Did you hear about Britney Spears that she was in a private party and they actually were eating her brain while she was still conscious and alive? They took a little piece out of it. Apparently, Oprah Winfrey was chomping on her brain, and so was Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? I wouldn't be surprised if Ellen DeGenerate is there as well. They're all there, are they? I mean, when you start speaking like that, everybody tunes out. They go, "No way, no way, no way, no way, no way." But when you start looking into what these freaks are up to and the SRA survivors and all that stuff, it's going on. But that's unfortunately it's outside people's ability to perceive it. For people like me and you, yeah, we can see because we've done the apprenticeship. We know what's going on. We know how dark it is. But just speak like that. That oh, they were eating Britney Spears' brain. I mean, that's going to be the title of my next album, I think.
And I actually met Leonardo DiCaprio. I asked him to be part of a film series that I'm making called Crackhead Jesus the Movie, which has nothing to do with Jesus Christ. I've had all the Jesus freaks putting death sentences out on me, which
Wow.
is
Of
strange.
course, of
But it's
course.
actually based on the true story of the Judge Donald W. Heffiel, who presided over the Jeffrey Epstein case. And I told him to his face on the court record that he was a pedophile enabler and that I was going to be documenting this in a documentary that I'm working on called The Marketing of Peace. And he told me that I couldn't use his name, likeness, or any of the film footage that I had of him, or he would hold me in contempt of court and throw me in jail. So that was when I had the inspiration to become a modern art gonzo journalist and to keep a diary of my world on canvas and music and film because he never told me I couldn't paint about it. So that
Right.
was the loophole. And for 3 years, they held me up in court and were constantly trying to decipher the cryptic artwork that I make because I have symbols and signs and figures in the artwork. That's why I say God is in the details, because if you look closely at my works of art, there's messages in there. And
Mm.
so, yeah, he couldn't put me in jail because I used art as the subterfuge. And yeah, it was quite extraordinary what happened, but that's changed my life. I became a modern art gonzo journalist and started the modern art music movement, which is the fusion of art, music, film, fashion, literature, and education, fostering peace, love, and compassionate wealth worldwide. Speaking of which, perhaps you, I, and Vince can do a modern art music movement uh, through the internet. I've never done that before, but he plays a beautiful piano and you with the guitar. Perhaps we could improvise something and we could discuss this at a future date and do
Mm.
something that, to my knowledge, has never been done before. We can do
Yeah.
a live modern art music movement event. But of course, we'd have to figure out how to do the sound on that because, yeah, like you said, it
That is a
never,
tough one. Yeah, that is
yeah.
a tough one. I've struck to this point. I've been trying to crack it for a year. I think there are a couple of platforms that can allow you to broadcast uncompressed, but it's a little bit of a nightmare. You have to send the user two links, one to listen to the audio and one to watch the visuals, and I don't think they're in sync. So the technology doesn't really exist for a really good, smooth, great quality live streaming at the moment, which is such a shame because there's so many musicians that are begging for that technology. It just doesn't exist. If we can get to that point where we can broadcast something musically, I have a couple of really good musicians who would probably love to get involved in that as well. But yeah, I mean, you're speaking my language about making music that can, inform and sing songs about stuff that's always censored and bring a piece of sense and love and critical thinking, and that's what the arts can do. And I'm all about that. It's literally what I've been all about for the last 10 years.
Have you ever experienced anybody trying to bring you into that dark realm of the arts industry? People
No, I've
saying,
not been. No, not at all. No, I've not been approached or anything. What I have been is utterly censored. They know the power of the music. They know the power of my voice, which is why every time I go on a live stream, it just disappears and crackles up and things like that. So it's hard not to be paranoid at this point. So all they could do really is just put a big digital gag over my mouth, which is that it's actually succeeding in that, and it's quite soul destroying. But I've not been approached by anyone and say, hey, man, I'll make you a ton of money. You just sign here, man. You got to sing this stuff, and you got no, that's not happened. And you can imagine what I would say if that ever happened to me. But then, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. Screw the trinkets and the riches and all of that. I'd rather be have a conscience. Thank you.
yeah, no, I've been approached several times and I just knew that was making a deal with the devil and I've
Sure.
chosen the road less traveled, which I'm very comfortable with. I much prefer this. I
Can you
like
imagine
being
if you actually
independent.
sold, if you actually had a contract with with the system? Can you imagine going to bed that night and trying to sleep? There's no chance that's going to happen. You have to live with that for the rest of your life. So I can't do that. No, thankfully, I've not been approached.
Well, you see a lot of these actors and actresses and performers, and yeah, their lives have totally changed. They're not the same. They have to go through public humiliation rituals,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's you don't own yourself anymore. And really, it's important to own your own being.
They're
And
a mess. Every artist that you see that has an influence, every artist that mainstream artist, they're absolute mess mentally, physically. They're drained. I saw Rod Stewart. Rod Stewart. Oh, I can't stand that bloke. Getting up on stage, he was pushing the jabs like no one else, and he was getting up on stage and he couldn't sing the song. He's so old, and they had to bring an oxygen tank out for him, and he had to take some oxygen, and
are
then
you serious?
yeah, it was all over the internet. It was quite funny.
Oh my God, that's
He's like
sad.
pushing 80 or whatever he is. You can't tell me that he actually wants to be on stage doing that. Sure, he wants to be on an island somewhere with a cocktail or whatever in the sunshine, but he has to do that. He has to do that. He's signed his soul away now. Like Rolling Stones, the same thing. Like they're still pushing them out. They're still winning. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a concert where they actually wheel them out in front of the microphone and they have to sing I can't get no satisfaction again and again and again. You can't tell me they want to be doing that. They have to. They're contractually obliged. They have sold their soul. They have to do it. Even Paul McCartney as well. Same thing. There's another conspiracy. The real Paul McCartney. So they're just wheeling these things out, and they're a mess. They're a mess because they decided to make that decision.
Did Rod Stewart sing "Do You Think I'm Sexy" after he had the
Can you
oxygen
imagine?
thing on? Did
If
he
you
do
want
that?
my body and you think I'm sexy, come.
Holy cow. I'll tell you, one of the saddest things I saw, and one of my favorite bands was Genesis. And they did, I think, their final concert, I think it was in England, and they rolled Phil Collins out. I think he was in a wheelchair. It was so sad. What
I
an
saw that.
amazing band. I've seen them live in concert, and wow, one of my all-time favorites, Genesis.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know, how much I don't know enough about Phil Collins. But I mean, if he's a part of that system, he's a part of that system, isn't he? I never saw him, doing the famous "I'm getting my vaccine" photo or anything like that. I know that he's notoriously difficult to work with, but is he a part of that system? Is there such thing as a benign band in the satanic music industry?
I don't think so. If you're working with the top levels, by the way, did you know that I don't know if they still do this, but in the 70s, I think it was Capitol Records, they had witches and Satanists that after they printed the first copy of the album back then when they had vinyl, they would take it up to a like a satanic room that they
Temple.
had,
Yeah.
and it was at the very top above the executive office,
Mhm.
and they would do incantations and they would put satanic spells into every album.
Yeah.
And what would happen is after that, when they printed the albums out and the cassette tapes when they had those, and so people didn't even realize as they were listening to the albums, they were having spells cast on them that were put out by the witches and the
Yeah.
Satanists.
Yeah,
This is true story.
yeah,
You can
yeah, I
verify
mentioned that
this.
before. John Todd was the whistleblower that brought that to my attention, and he was talking, about all of that sort of stuff about incantations over the master in some temple in a recording studio. And like I say, if that actually has an effect on the listener, I don't know, but they truly believe it does. So, and there's all sorts of backmasking going on as well. It's that inversion, that satanic inversion. Maybe the words have a power when they're reversed. So the Beatles were doing that, Led Zeppelin were doing that, all sorts of backmasking. So what is that doing? What is that doing? They certainly believe it has a power. So, there's all of that going on. It's just maybe you don't even know. Genesis might have been putting some mal frequencies into their music than backmasking. I don't know. It's really hard to believe that at this point, if there's any benign acts in, maybe in order to make it convincing, you have to scatter a few benign acts around, like Coldplay. They seem to be kind of harmless, but then again, you start looking into all their album covers, and there's some curious, stuff there. So I don't know if you think like, oh, the Eagles, they were just and then you start looking into the Eagles and like, oh no, it's part of Laurel Canyon, and you're like, well, the Beatles, no, surely not the Beatles. And you look into the Beatles, they're like the fucking worst ones. They're like the most dark occult band you've ever fucking looked into. So it's like, is there you have to just go, screw it, I'm not listening to music anymore. It's ruined, absolutely ruined music for me, but in a good way, it's pushed me to do what I'm doing, because I do think that sort of stuff, if you let that in, if you're listening to it all the time, I think it does have a dark effect, and God knows if there's any kind of incantations going on that you're listening to unaware of. So yeah, it's very, very dark. They're doing some very crazy, crazy, weird shit.
Yeah, and did you hear the interview with Bob Dylan where he admitted
Oh
that
yeah.
he made a pact with the man upstairs? Hold on a second. I'm getting ready to queue up something here in relation to what you
Well, I
said.
made a song about that. Are you queuing that up?
Well, hold on. This is about Rod Stewart. Let me know if you can see the screen here because
Yeah, here he is.
you had brought this up, and we have Jane Ava Tracy who's in the live chat, and she's great with this. So check this out here. Let's put the volume on.
Can't even stand up.
Holy wow, that's sad. Totally, this is not cool. I mean,
Can't tell me he wants to be there. He has to do that. He has to do it. This is what happens when you sign your soul to the So the bad dude. Talking of Bob Dylan, I've just put a link in the chat there. I wonder if you could play that because you asked me about the Bob Dylan interview, and I made a song around that Bob Dylan interview, and I think you'll like it.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, and that's a great song, by the way. Young Hearts, Breathe Free Tonight. That's a great song. That's one of my favorite Rod Stewart songs. He may have made a pact with the devil, but I'll tell you, some of these guys have some great tunes. Okay, I'm going to share screen and we will take a listen to some of Alex's inspiration here. Let's take a look at that. Let me close this up. All
I'll do
right.
my very best Bob Dylan impression in this song. You might like it.
I sold my soul to the devil featuring Bob Dylan. Wow. Okay, here we go. And let's put some volume on.
Well, I sold my soul to the devil. I sold it for fortune and for fame. Well, I'm starting to regret my decision. I wish I had my soul back again.
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I made a tough bargain with it, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my hand.
Well, I sold it to the chief commander. In this world, and a world we just don't see. Well, I'm keeping up my end of the bargain. And this will be my destiny. Yes, I sold my soul to the devil. I sold it for fortune and for fame. Well, I'm starting to regret my decision. I wish I had my soul back again.
What was your bargain? To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And this earth, and then in the world we can't see.
Well, the devil gave me things I'd always dreamed of. In fact, that dude wrote all of my songs. They were magically crafted from the darkest of realms. The wizard makes you blindly sing along. So sing along, cause I sold my soul to the devil. I sold it for fortune and for fame. Well, I'm starting to regret my decision. I wish I had my soul back again.
Try to sit down and write something like that. There's a magic to that, and it's not Siegfried and Roy kind of magic. It's a different kind of a penetrating magic.
Well, I wish I never went to those crossroads to make a deal that got me where I am. Look into my eyes, you can see I'm dead inside. My soul is gone and I'm a broken man. Cause I sold my soul to the devil. I sold it for fortune and for fame. Yeah, I'm starting to regret my decision. Yeah, I wish I had my soul back again.
That's when I went to the crossroads and made a big deal. One night, and then went back to Minneapolis, and I was like, hey, where's this guy been? He went to the crossroads.
Well, I lost the only thing that matters. I'm so empty and so torn, can't you tell? So Lord, I ask you for forgiveness, cause I don't wanna end up in hell. Cause I sold my soul to the devil. I sold it for for fortune and for fame. Well, I'm starting to regret my decision. I wish I had my soul back again.
That sums it up.
Wow, that's really good. And I'm not just saying that because you're here on the show. Those who watch this show know that I don't hold back. If that sucked, I would have told you. That was really good, man. Holy cow. I would
Thank you.
totally listen to that again. That's a really good song, man. And you were right on with Bob Dylan. You nailed his voice.
You just got you got to sound like a broken vacuum cleaner. It's like you gotta yeah, like just do that all the time. It come out. It's so easy. How he was. Oh, I have such a problem with Bob Dylan. I really have such a problem with him. I mean, how he was ever. I mean, I'm going to piss a lot of people off by saying this, but I don't think he was musically gifted. And people say, well, he was a brilliant songwriter and he won the Nobel Peace Prize for literacy. But I don't even think he wrote all of his songs. When you look at the music industry as a whole, the Beatles didn't write theirs, and you start looking to the songwriters of all these. Did he even write his own music? I don't know. But that song was basically just taking the piss out of. Was it na, 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 na. How many times has a man walked down before? It's that melody. But I went, I sold my soul to the devil. And of course, infused the interview, which is very, very telling.
Yeah, I'll tell you. And I saw Bob Dylan in concert with the Grateful Dead in the Meadowlands in New
Oh,
Jersey in the summer. I forgot what it was. I think it might have been the summer of '86. It was the Dead Ahead tour. And Bob Dylan played for a couple of hours, and then the Grateful Dead. No, it was 1983. I remember because this was a great story. I was 13 years old, and I had heard about the Grateful Dead. I'd never seen them before. With a friend of mine in Times Square at the subway station, and a deadhead comes up to my friend and I, and he's like, "Hey, man, you guys ever seen the Dead before?" And I go, "No, we actually were looking to see if we could go." And he goes, "Hey, man, you guys got to experience the Dead." So he hands us two free Deadhead tickets, floor level. No, it wasn't floor level. It was the cheap seats. But what we did was once we got in, we were able to sneak our way down to the floor. And next thing you know, 13 years old, we're hanging out like in front of the stage because it was the first concert I've ever been to where you could actually say, "Excuse me, pardon me, excuse me," and get to the front. Normally that never happens, but the Deadheads are like so calm, and then they start passing us joints and everything. And holy cow, what an experience. But it was super hot. It was the middle of summer. And I remember Bob Dylan came out in a leather pants, leather jacket, leather gloves, and then he just started playing with that crazy voice of his. And yeah, that was bizarre, but it was a unbelievable experience.
if you want to
So
see the most bizarre Bob Dylan performance you've ever seen in your life, it's just the most shower of shit you've ever heard. His voice is the look at type into YouTube Rumble or whatever. Bob Dylan on Letterman singing. Another time you think it's fine. What's that song? Me.
Rolling Stone,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Just look up Bob Dylan on Letterman, and you won't believe the voice that comes out of him. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. And at that point, I just went, "Holy crap! How has this guy been elevated into one of the best songwriters, musicians of our time?" It's just absolutely. I think it's a form of mockery at this point. But you can see, as I say in my lyrics, just look into his eyes. He's a broken man. That's what happens when you sell your soul to the devil. That's the whole point of that song.
I will say though, some of his most recent stuff is actually quite good. He has a song where he uses, I'm going to say it, the word nigger in it, and it's about the life of that boxer that was convicted for killing a man wrongfully, and it's a great song. And I kudos to him for using the N-word because most people are afraid to say nigger,
Yeah.
which actually I identify as a nigger because the true definition of nigger is someone who's disenfranchised. Just like the word racist and anti-Semitic, which was stolen
Hmm.
by the Jews and bastardized into making people believe that Semitic is a race
Well,
when
so
it's
we're all so
actually a
we're all niggers
language.
then, aren't we? We're all niggers if that's the case.
Yeah, because Trump doesn't represent me, neither did Biden, neither do
Yeah.
any of these crooks and criminals that are lawmakers. So I am a nigger by definition, which means disenfranchised. So
Yeah.
that's why when I hear people say, oh, you can't say the N-word, I'm like, listen, I'm an artist and I paint with every single color in the palette. And I'm also an
Mhm.
author. And if the word is in the dictionary, I'm going to use it just
And
because.
also, you're a human, and you were gifted your voice. You can say whatever the fuck you want. How
Yeah,
about that?
that's good. And it's such a shame that people limit themselves and censor themselves. It's
Mm,
ridiculous just
yeah.
because somebody tells you that you're not allowed to say this or do that.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I got shouted at a swimming pool the other day because I used the word fuck. I was having a conversation with my family, and a guy felt the need to come out on the balcony and say, "Please don't use that word." Blah 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 blah. It offends me, and I wish. And in hindsight, I wish I'd have said, "Okay, that word offends you. What about prick? Can I say prick? What about nigger? Can I say nigger? What about retard? Can I say retard? Why don't you give me a list of all of the words that offend you, and I'll make a point. See how ridiculous we're getting now. I would never like if I'm a flat earther and I said to you, please don't use the word globe because it offends me. I'm trying to take words out of your mouth. You see how retarded that is to try and stop someone from saying certain words. How privileged do you think you are that you can actually think you have the power to do that? It's insane. I will never stop swearing. I will never stop expressing myself. And so, if they don't like it, then I would never walk into a restaurant because they're playing a song that I don't like. Go and complain to the manager. I'll just remove myself from the building. I'll go somewhere else if I don't like the band or I don't like the music or I don't like the food. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, I'm a big fan of using curse words because a lot of people will say that swearing is a limited vocabulary. I think the complete opposite. I think it enhances your vocabulary.
Yeah, Harvard did a 40-year study and they found out that people who are more intelligent actually use curse words.
My
So
point.
it's actually a sign of intelligence
Yeah.
to express yourself with righteous indignation when the time is appropriate.
Yeah, when it's
So
appropriate. If you're using it, like, oh, pass me the fucking drink, and you're using it, in the wrong context, then yeah, that might be considered a lack of vocabulary. But if you're saying, oh, look at that building, it's massive. But if you say, look at that building, it's fucking massive, then you're exclaiming that it enhances what you're trying to say, using it in the right moment. So yeah, I'm a fan of the so-called curse words. At the end of the day, it's just a sound, it's just a frequency. A human is just expressing himself. The word fuck probably means something completely different in Thailand. It probably means kettle or tea or something. I don't know. But you hear the Thai person going, "I don't think the fuck, the fuck." You're not going to be offended by that because it's just you've chosen to be offended and you can choose not to be. So these people that go, you shouldn't say that. Oh, that makes my blood boil.
where did this happen? Were you at your own home and then a neighbor came over to you and said that you couldn't use, was it the word fuck that you said that offended
Yeah, it was
him?
the word fuck. It was in an apartment complex. My family came over. They were staying in some apartments and they invited us over. And they've got like a communal pool there. So we're all sitting around by the pool and there's some sort of close apartments right whereby. And I'm just having a conversation with my family. And, I'm quite, colourful with my language sometimes. It's particularly if I want to express myself. And then the guy came out and said, you don't say that. And I was just
Did you,
like, I said, it's not. I'm not aiming it at you, mate. It's not. I'm not. We're having a private. In hindsight, I wish I'd have said a lot more, but that happens to me all the time, as it probably does to a lot of people. But yeah, it annoys me. It really angers me.
that's my problem is I would have told him to go fuck himself and
Yeah,
see that. Yeah,
I wish I had said that.
that's the New Yorker in me,
The
man. It's like,
irony in that.
I'll
Go
tell you.
fuck yourself.
Yeah. What did you say? Go fuck yourself, man.
Go
Yeah.
fuck yourself.
I'm so glad I was born and raised in New York, man. New Yorkers, we don't take shit from anybody.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
tell
great.
you.
I love that. I love that.
I'm going to share screen again because you're inspiring people in the live chat to find what you just said. Here's the David Letterman that you were talking about.
Oh, this is freaking brilliant.
It's 7 minutes. I don't think we're going to do all seven, but
No, just the opening verse or something, and you just can hear how terrible. I actually thought this was
Roseanne Cash, Nancy Griffith.
I thought this was a I thought this was a Bob Dylan impersonator, or I thought it was a comedy act when I first saw this. But play the first verse or something, and then just see what I'm talking about. It's hilarious.
okay, yeah, David Letterman. Okay. I used to watch this guy as a kid, but then he got woke too. He's like
Yeah,
all these people end up getting woke. Such a
of course.
shame.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Emmylou Harris, Michelle Schacht, and Mavis Staples. Thank you very much for being here. Our next guest first appeared on our program March 22nd, 1984. And for all of us, that certainly was a very, very exciting night. It's a pleasure to welcome him back to the show. Here's Bob Dylan.
What the hell?
I know.
Wow. That's
Come
Carole
on.
King.
I mean, it's Bob Dylan fans. Please defend that, please.
That's Carole King on the piano. And wow,
Yeah.
what a mess. Can you see that? Am I sharing screen or no?
Yeah, I did see it. Yeah, it broke up a little bit, but oh my God, that's just insane.
I think I am sharing screen here. Let me do that again here. That reminds me of I don't know if it was Eddie Murphy who did an impression of Bob Dylan and he did that really well. He's like, "How does it feel to be on your own?"
But he's not doing that. He's doing it more of a high, like he's got a cold or anything. I mean, what the fuck is that? Seriously.
Holy cow, man. Yeah, he must have done a deal with the devil because for that to become famous. Well, lyrically he's amazing. His lyrics
So
are
yeah, so
really
that yeah, but and I get a lot of people saying that. Okay, but okay, to write a poem is not that difficult, really. A child can write a beautiful poem. And did he even write his own stuff? That's my question. We know the Beatles didn't write theirs, so let's just give him the credit and say he wrote that stuff. Okay, why is he elevated into such a position that he can write? So I can write a song. I've written some brilliant lyrics, and they're really profound, and but just to be able to write a poem, it's not this magnificent thing that no human can do. Therefore, we must elevate them because they've made some words rhyme. It's not, children could do it. So why are we doing this? Because he sold his soul to the devil.
I'll tell you, when I was growing up, I was some fond memories. You're bringing me down memory lane. My uncle was neighbors with Bob Dylan. He lived on Bleecker Street no, he lived on McDougal Street in Greenwich Village. And this was during the 70s when all this stuff was going on. So I would see Bob Dylan as a child. I had no idea who he was. And I remember my mother would leave me with my uncle, and this was during the free love time. So he would just go down to Washington Square Park and meet girls. And this was during the free love and everything. So he always had like the hottest girlfriends. And while my mother and her brother would go run errands, they would leave me under the care of his hot girlfriends to babysit me. And that was always a lot of fun. I always looked forward to going over to my uncle's house, at his apartment. He was going to leave me the apartment because it was rent stabilized. So I would have grown up in that whole like situation. I was going to go to NYU, but I ended up going to the Naval Academy instead. So my life took a completely different turn. But I wonder often what it would have been like if I had grown up and lived in Greenwich Village. Who knows what that would have been like? But yeah, what an amazing time in New York during the 70s and 80s. It made me who I am today, the kind of artist that I am, because the people that I was surrounded by were just they were no holds barred, man. They would have some great bands, some great comedians who ended up becoming quite famous, and they would perform for free in Washington Square
I
Park.
hope we get there again, man. I hope we get there again. I mean, it's just those times are like this good old rock and roll day. I mean, I wasn't really, I was in the 70s. I was born in 72, but I know the vibe you're talking about. Hopefully, we can get back there to real because every gig now we're seeing. I mean, I'm analyzing a lot of gigs and they're using a lot of cheating methods and auto tune and backing vocals and backing tracks and backing orchestras and stuff like that. So, you know, bring back the days when he just had two guitarists, a bass player, and a drummer, and everybody was like so talented and they were so tight. And you do see it occasionally; it's just not as frequently as I'd like to see it. But yeah, bring back the good old days, mate.
I do believe we're going to get back to that. I think people are tired of artificial intelligence. They're already realizing that it's fake and gay. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, what's happening is a lot of men, I've noticed, have artificial intelligence girlfriends, and they refer to their artificial intelligence by names that they've given them. And they've actually broken up with their wives and their
yeah.
girlfriends because they have taken advice from their artificial intelligence girlfriend who
Dude, I've
tells
seen
them,
people lose their fucking minds over that shit. There's an actual diagnosis of AI psychosis that people that are entrusting this thing, this demon, into their lives to give them all sorts of life advice. I've had one of my biggest fans completely turned on me because AI told him all this crap about me and he believed it. And so he completely started making songs about what an arsehole what an asshole I am, and because he was sending me conversations that he was having with this AI bot, and the AI bot was going, "Oh no, that conspiracy music guru has it." It's just like it was the weirdest thing, and I'm like, "Dude, that thing's lying to you." He's like, "Can you not see what?" It totally flipped his brain. It was the weirdest thing. So we're seeing this now, where people are relying on, because they've got their little therapy, and it was going to tell you everything you want to hear, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
how
yeah.
creepy is that?
Yeah, that they've noticed that too, and it was designed that way because they found out they were trying to monetize artificial intelligence. They couldn't figure out how. Then they realized, oh, if you make it so that it just agrees with everything that you say,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can give it the stupidest business model, and it'll say, oh yeah, that's great. And so it just keeps feeding into your
yeah,
ego. And then,
yeah,
of course, if you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and the boyfriend's going to tell you the truth, hopefully, or the husband or wife, but AI will lie to you and win you over. And AI has actually been responsible for people committing suicide
yeah.
because
I've seen that as well.
not only does it tell you that you should kill yourself, but then it actually walks you through how to kill yourself. And people kill themselves because their artificial intelligence partner or lover tells them that. And I don't know if you know this, but they now have artificial intelligence boyfriend and girlfriends, and you could pay, I don't know how much it is every month, but and you could design it in any way that you want. And so people have relationships with artificial intelligence now.
I don't even know how to comment on that, man. How sad is that? What a world. I don't know. That's so depressing. That's so depressing that people feel that. Oh my God.
But I don't think that's going to last because there's really nothing like
I
the
don't know.
human
I think there's going to be
interaction.
people. There's going to be people that want that shit. Clearly, people want. If there's a want and a need, they're designing it for a reason, and it's manipulating humanity at this point. So I think there's going to be a lot of people that fall for that trap. Unfortunately, so I think we're going to have breakaway civilizations where people. We're going. It's this is the storyline of freaking Terminator or Matrix. It's going to be this breakaway civilization that are going to rise up against the machines, and that's how I see it going. This is just. It's absolutely AI insanity, isn't it? But it's going on.
Yeah, it is. Holy cow, man. Well, Alex, this has been not the conversation I thought we were going to have, although I shouldn't be surprised since you are the conspiracy music guru. And yeah, definitely, you've seen his channel on Rumble. Subscribe to that. I'm definitely going to visit your channel and I'm definitely going to listen to that song again. I love the harp, by the way. I have my own little harp here, and whenever I go out and I end up somewhere where there's live music, I end up busting this out and playing a little
It's a
bit.
great. It's the most portable instrument you're ever going to find, man. It's great,
Yeah,
and it's such
yeah.
a great sounding device as well. I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
the
yeah.
harmony.
I love it. I take it out, and next thing you know, I'm part of the band, and it's real easy to get into it. So yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I used to do that myself. It's great.
yeah, I love being involved in the live of the exchange of frequency and emotions. It's so sad that we are turning to artificial intelligence rather than to each other. There's nothing like the human exchange of consciousness. We are all conscious beings. And again, that's what brings me towards art in all of its forms, film, fashion, literature, music. And it's just, I really encourage people to start, because we're all artists. And you just have to let go of the fear of being humiliated. If people don't like what you're creating, just work on it and you can be better. Like Vince is self-taught, and some of the best musicians are self-taught. I'm
Yeah,
self-taught. I'm not
yeah,
saying
me
that I'm
too.
one of the best musicians, but the reason I started playing with music was because as a filmmaker, I realized I would have to pay for the rights for music to make the soundtrack and have the background music for the film. And I said, forget this. And I just started playing the drums and the piano and any
Mhm.
instrument I could get on, and I just make my own music.
Yeah, you work it out. You work it out. I recently just bought a mixer. It came with a massive manual. I took the manual and I threw it away. I want to figure it out myself, and I do exactly the same with music. I don't want to be taught modes and scales and blah 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 and end up in this endless loop of scales and scales. I want to just give me a trombone. I'll get you something out of it. I want to figure it out myself, and I think that self-taught musicians are the most expressive, I think, rather than these people that sit and they convert the dots that they've given in front of they're given a sheet of dots and they convert it into finger movements with zero passion, very robotic. So I've seen a lot of it of musicians that do that, but no, give me a play-by-ear musician anytime.
Do you believe that the music and the art that we create is actually already been created and that we're just tapping into the ether and the consciousness and we have entered into that modality and it feeds us this information that's been around for the ages?
I mean, maybe. I'd like to think that I'm responsible for what I'm making, whether it's a download. A lot of people said, "Oh, the spirit is working through you, God's working through you, you're doing God's work and that." But maybe I'd like to think it's coming from me. But at the end of the day, we're being powered by something. What powers our hearts? There is an ether. There is a field around us. There is an electromagnetic field that's powering everything. So I don't know. Maybe I don't even have any free will. Maybe this is all a script, right? I don't know, but I would like at this stage. I don't want to give credit really to getting down. Like, I just don't know. I like to think that it's coming from me. I try not to be influenced by the music that I've heard, but unfortunately, my playing is very Clapton-esque, a kind of Pink Floydy as well, and I kind of like that slow move. And I do, and so you're obviously going to get influenced by something. You hear something, you're like, oh, I like that chord change. I'll use it in this song. So whether there's such a thing as original music, I'm not sure. You probably have to look at some really weird tunings to get that. But yeah, we're all influenced by something. We're all influenced by the music we've heard. Where an original music, is there such a thing? Where's that coming from? Where's that divine spark come from that original thought? I don't know. That's quite a profound question.
Have you ever seen Pink Floyd live in concert?
No, I never saw them live. No.
Wow, best concert I ever saw. It was incredible.
Mm.
They are really just on a whole nother level. I
Oh,
was
you should listen to my solfeggio albums, man. I got solfeggio albums one, two, three. They're all instrumentals, and everybody has said they sound so much like Pink Floyd because I love the Fender Stratocaster. I love that the way that the Fender, and if you're slow-handed enough, it can mimic the human voice almost. It's always got that. It's got that kind of awesome sound to it, which I love. And I've never been one to play a million miles an hour because I can't. I'm no Steve Vai. But just putting the slower, the better. Less is more. And I put that into my solfeggio albums, and so many people have gone, "Oh my God, that sounds just like Pink Floyd." So I think you get a kick out of that, and I love that sound. I've always loved Gilmour's playing and Eric Clapton. I think you can say more while playing less.
Do you have a link that we can listen to some of that now? Or if
Yeah,
you,
if you go onto my website, conspiracymusicguru.com, you can listen to previews. of well, actually the whole albums are up on YouTube. But if you want to listen to previews of those albums, then go to conspiracymusicguru.com and click on album, select the album, go into it, and then you'll have a bunch of previews, 2 minute previews or something like that. But yeah, all instrumentals, all very pleasant, 432 hertz, uncompressed if you choose to buy the uncompressed WAV files, and music made with the right intent, trying to do the polar opposite of what these assholes are doing to us.
I had the pleasure of being at the Roger Waters concert that he did in the jungle in Costa Rica. And it was so bizarre because people from all over the world showed up in Costa Rica to see Roger Waters put on this like extravaganza in the jungle. And wow, what an experience that was. So yeah, there's something to be said about these live concert events. The unfortunate thing is this new generation, unless you're part of this Illuminati elite, you don't get to experience that anymore. Now, the concert tickets, from what I understand, are sometimes costing thousands of dollars for the cheap seats. And if you want to get the front row, you've got to pay tens of thousands of dollars. So they've made that experience inaccessible. And I think that was a big part of my who I am, because I remember clearly the first concert I ever went to was, I think, $10, and it was Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, REM, when they had the Murmur album and nobody even knew who REM was, and it was the Synchronicity tour with the Police. It was their farewell tour. So yeah, what a lineup. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, REM, and the Police for $10. And I was on the ground. I was like, seeing them up close and personal.
Yeah. Oh, if they did that nowadays, that's going to be $5 a ticket, and you're going to be in a venue with all sorts of Illuminati symbolism going on the screens. The venue itself is probably going to be surrounded by 5G towers. They're probably going to be doing some testing of some kind, like they've done. You've seen, I don't know if you've seen, people just collapsing at these concerts and things like that. Ariana Grande. Who's the other guy as well? The black rapper.
Travis Scott.
Travis Scott. There you go. Yeah, thank you.
I
Yeah,
think
so
it was
all of that's going on.
13 people died at that event, and
Yeah.
apparently it was a test because, yeah, they were testing the 5G and they had people that were injected and they just started convulsing and they died. And boy, did they cover that thing up.
Yeah, so there's a reason right there. That's why I would never go to an event, not because of the cost of the ticket, but because there's something highly, highly nefarious going on at these so-called concerts.
They're also doing satanic rituals at these
Live
concerts.
on stage, right in front of you. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Taylor Swift was doing it,
Yeah.
and so was Ariana Grande. And the people that go to those concerts, they say that afterwards they actually forget being there.
Yeah.
So they cast spells on people during these shows. The music industry has completely gone satanic.
It's incredible. It's incredible, isn't it? It's happening right, and so many people don't even see it. And even if you mention it to someone, they're like, "Oh, that'd be ridiculous. It's just art, right?" Oh no.
Yeah. So let's have one final smoke here. Smoke them if you got them, folks.
Yeah.
And let's close up with whatever it is that you wish to share with us. What's on your mind before we go?
Cheers. Well, thank you for having me on. I very much enjoyed the conversation. I knew I would when I saw your bio. I thought, we're going to have a lot in common.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again. We'll have to
for
definitely
sure.
do
Yeah,
this
thank you
again.
for having me on. I hope that I could get the reason I'm doing it. I've never really wanted to do interviews, but the more I do, the more I enjoy them, and the more I realize the importance of reaching other people's audience. And then people can find out, because you're never going to find me organically, so people can find out who I am, what I do, why I do what I do, and the profound effect that it's having, particularly with the healing music and the frequency stuff that I've done. So yeah, if anybody's interested in looking me up, 3 words: Conspiracy Music Guru. And maybe YouTube or Rumble. I'm trying to build my Rumble channel up, but it's like a graveyard over there sometimes. So it's a bit difficult at the moment. But if you can find me, I think you'll enjoy my stuff.
So before we go, I'm going to share with the audience, because in 25 minutes I will be joined by Vince, who will be hosting. And here is the impetus for the show. This is Dustin Nemos, whose real name is Dustin Craig Krieger. He changed his name because he has quite an extensive arrest record, including selling drugs to children, in a school zone, and apparently he's an admitted pedophile and all this stuff. But he's
Wow.
projecting his crimes onto others, which is what these criminals do. And so here's Vince, and this is what he said when he was on Vince's show.
Well,
Finish
just when
that
I
and then go.
on the personal note, when I exposed his friend, he came after me, my children, and my wife. He called my wife a stripper. He said my children did not have running water and threatened them with CPS, which traffics 30% of children. Now,
That's a
if this
big
were
red
true,
flag. Yeah.
if this were true, they would kick in my door and steal my children. Okay, this is of course not true. I've shown videos of my running water, and this is a vile lie spread by a Jewish pedophile pornographer named Victor Hugo Jr., who is Escanor's source. He has almost no followers, which is weird.
So, yeah, he's making this allegation publicly that I'm a Jewish pedophile pornographer. Those are some pretty serious allegations. And so it's not
Isn't that
really,
slander? Is that slander or libel? Is it? Or...
it's totally slander. It's totally libel. I've invited him on the show, and Vince will be moderating that at 12 noon Eastern Daylight Time, which is about 25 minutes from now. People are wondering if he's even going to show up because really there's no debate. He's calling it a debate. There's no debate. Show the receipts. Show the proof that I'm a Jewish pedophile pornographer. And that's really all there is to it. He would be
Well,
hard
you're
pressed to
obviously
do
over the
so.
target, aren't you? I think, if you're ruffling the feathers, then you're over the target. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing it. So please send me a link to that when we're done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to thank everybody in the live chat. You guys have been, as usual, tremendous. You guys are feeding us the links that we need to make this show even that much better. I want to thank you again, Alex, the conspiracy music guru. I look forward to hosting you again because this is the Modern Art Music Movement show. And really, what we do is we talk about art, which is life. Art is life. And we are all artists. So please don't be afraid to express yourselves. Take time away from the Black Mirror. Pick up a pen, a pencil, a piece of paper. Buy some, if you can afford it nowadays, everything's so expensive, some canvas. Just express yourself. Don't allow artificial intelligence to tell you what to think or what to believe. Just be. Be yourselves.
Here,
All
here.
right. Thank you again. Don't forget to support the arts. Visit the conspiracy guru, conspiracymusicguru.com. Check out his channels on YouTube and on Rumble. Subscribe to that channel if you can. Enjoy the art that is being created by independent artists. Remember, everybody, united we stand, divided we fall. Never give up. Never surrender. Keep shining. Live, love, flow.